everybody, my name is Matt George. I'm with Surftime magazine and I'm sitting here on the cliffs of beautiful Uluwatu. I'm here with the great Augusto Vegas, the Peruvian founder of Survival Apnea. This is an education system that uses breathing and breath holding, which is apnea, and he uses these exercises as tools to develop self-awareness, self-control, and to forge body and mind resilience, both in the ocean and out. But today we're mostly going to be talking about surfer-specific training, of which Augusto is a master at. Augusto, my first question to you would be, as a surfer, how does your surfing course differ than, say, a standard freediving course?
Thanks for the question, Matt. That's great. And so yeah, luckily I've been a surfer all my life. And from a young age, particularly from my late teens to my mid-20s, I was obsessed with big surf. So I found myself in pretty gnarly, dark situations. Those corners where you just want to call for mom, but mom is not coming. You need to deal with it.
I've been there, mate.
And years later, life bumped me into a freediving school. And a few years later, I was a very high-level freediving coach and instructor. So just destiny eventually got all my disciplines together and inspired me to create a breathing and breath holding course targeting surfers. So initially it was a bit tough, considering how uncertain, surprising surf scenarios can be. But thanks to my experience, real life scenarios I had been through myself, I was able to pick and choose what elements of the freediving community would be relevant, applicable, and effective for a surfer in those difficult times.
Well, for example, you say that you are able to help a surfer improve oxygen and energy management when things get pretty hairy. Is this something you do in a pool, or do we train in the ocean, or is this something that someone can do by themselves? How does it work?
Yeah, so for example, with breathing and breath holding exercises, provided you know what you're doing, you can actually train lying on your bed. Or you can train in a yoga shala, in a swimming pool with some friends, or you can actually make every surf session a training session. Because you will be starting to pay closer attention to little details, how you think, what you feel, how you react to these emotion sensations, what your breath rate is doing when a big set is coming, how to sink underwater, how to recover after a wipeout, and all these little things eventually start making you a wiser, more knowledgeable and skillful waterman.
Well, yes, I'm so glad that you mentioned, keeping your mind together underwater, because as we know, surfers and freedivers they're like astronauts. They quite often go to a place that has no air. It is a completely different atmosphere. It has different pressures. And so you're talking about adjusting your mind to be able to think calmly underwater. Now, does this have also something to do with your training where you teach people about the mammalian reflex, about the adaptability of the human mind and body underwater?
Yeah, so people should know that as humans, before we were humans, we were sort of evolving over time. We spent an important period living in the ocean. And because of that, our body still possesses some adaptations that we share with marine mammals and other animals that allow a human to deal better with breath-holding scenarios in or out of the water. Provided you remain calm when you're underwater, you're going to allow these instinctual reactions to help you deal with the challenge better.
Well, you keep mentioning the word calm, which is something that a lot of people, particularly a beginner, has a hard time doing in the ocean. It's a powerful place, it's an emotional place, it's a very, very living place, and it is completely different than life on land. So when you keep talking about how to keep somebody calm, say I'm a beginner surfer, just give us a tip as an example of your online course.
Yeah, so a key phrase I use in my courses is progressive playful exposure. So to teach someone to develop control under extreme discomfort, it is very hard. Maybe, Matt, I know that you can hold your breath for 5 minutes. Okay, but if I suddenly force you now to hold your breath for 5 minutes, I could suddenly traumatize you. However, if I make you hold your breath for 2 minutes today, next week we jump to 2:30. In 3-4 months' time, you are reaching the 5 minutes in complete control of yourself. A beginner surfer should take the same approach to surfing. Surfing is about having fun, but also like what's interesting of surfing is that it's always offering an element of challenge. Now, if a beginner surfer exposes him herself to too extreme of a challenge too fast, maybe his body is ready but his mind not yet, or maybe the mind is ready but the body not yet. So in a way, a beginner surfer should, of course, be encouraged to explore, to challenge him herself, but also respect the process.
Mm-hmm.
Great advice for a beginner surfer in this journey is pay attention to the average thoughts, the predominant thoughts and emotions you feel during a session. If you start to notice that you're feeling too much uncertainty, anxiety, too much anticipation, you're sitting there but you're already nervous of what could happen, then definitely our courses will have something for you. Because a big element of teaching someone how to deal with a breath hold is teaching this person to deal with emotions, uncertainty, panic, anxiety. So when you're in the ocean, enjoying the ocean, you can actually engage with the ocean for what is actually happening. And you're not too worried of what could happen, if it ever did,
Well, in many ways, that sounds like marriage counseling. But honestly, but to get back to it, the ocean confidence that you talk about in your course, approaching this whole different psychology of being in an uncomfortable situation like the ocean, what's it going to take someone who was interested in your online course?
Yeah.
What sort of physicality do they have to get ready for? Is this a very physically challenging thing or a tiring thing? Can you tell us a little about what it takes for someone to join you on this journey?
So for example, my curricula would include, first of all, the Surf Survival online course, which gives someone the foundations, deep understanding of all these sort of psychology, physiology, and science. But then it's followed up with training programs. There is a training program that is designed to be performed all on dry, and a training program that is designed to be part on dry and part in the pool. It all depends how much time available you have and if you have easy access to a pool or not. Then, all the programs respect the concept of progressive playful exposure. Because before I can actually challenge someone extremely using breathing and breath-holding exercises, first I need this person to know the rules of the game. How to actually build up the mental skill and the ways of reacting to challenge before I can actually expose this person to these challenges. So I could say anyone, no matter your fitness level, can start with these programs and slowly progress self-paced to the level of challenge that feels moderate to intense for you.
I understand. So we've talked about the beginner scenario.
Yep.
And I understand that you, with your progressive playful exposure, I get it. So someone is a beginner's doing this in increments, being comfortable. Let's switch gears here. Let's say someone wants to go to your online course and they're an experienced surfer, say someone like myself, and I'm out at, say, Uluwatu that we're overlooking.
Yep.
And I know the sets that day are about 6-wave sets.
Okay.
And I am in a situation where I have got to survive a big 6-foot set right on the head. Getting back to tips, what sort of tip are you going to give us on your online course that would help me there?
Okay, for example, let's say there's two versions of Matt. There's a version of you that remembers the last gnarly wipeout you had in your life. And you suddenly see this big September, you see the first wave, the second wave, you know you're in deep trouble, and you know, oh my god, it's going to be as bad or worse at that time. And suddenly that memory triggers all these sort of emotions that could easily, if left unchecked, could lead to anxiety, panic, which normally mean a very fast breath rate, a very unskillful action where you start paddling faster than usual, your heart starts beating a lot faster, you're already in a state of high energy and oxygen consumption. Okay? So that wave is coming, your breath rate is super fast, you're quite scared, you take a very unskillful last breath, you go under, and as soon as you go under, all you want to do is get out as fast as possible, and you're going to fight desperately against all this very powerful turbulence. Now, the other version of Matt, he's here, he sees the scenario, there's no channel, nowhere to run. So automatically you know, okay, I'm gonna get a beating, I'm better off entering a hibernation state. Okay, I'm going to slow down my paddling, or maybe I'm just gonna sit on my board and wait for it, breathing calmly. The challenge hasn't come yet. It's coming, but it's not here yet. I'm gonna wait for it. The wave is coming, maybe you get off your board, you cannot dive, it is too big, you're gonna hold your board. Before the wave comes, you're gonna take a deep last breath, full last breath, and you go under. What have you done right there? Rather than becoming a helpless person, there's no cards to play, suddenly you become someone that, first of all, stays in control of his thoughts, his breath rate, takes a proper last breath, which is going to make you float quicker back to surface and puts higher levels of oxygen pressure in your lungs. That's going to keep that oxygen getting pumped into your bloodstream for longer. And as soon as the wipeout starts, as to say, you have the skill to anchor your mind in a place that is going to protect you from any potential thought, emotion that could trigger fear, panic, anxiety, uncertainty, etc. So you can see what version of you, even though they were going through the same scenario, is playing a better game.
Well, I'll tell you what, I can't wait to take your online course because of the two people you just described. I'm number one, okay? I panic quite often out there, so it's great to talk to you. But again, you mentioned something that caught my ear, which was a last skillful breath, okay? Now I'm dropping in on a wave, and it's pretty hairy. I make a mistake, I dig a rail. I'm about to go under instantly. How do I have time to take this last skillful breath? Can you give us a tip on that without giving too much away?
Yeah, and that's a great question, great scenario. Many times surfers go, hey, why are you teaching me a breathe up to do a static if this is so unrelated to surfing? And my answer to that, I am not teaching you a breathe up and a static because of the sake of it. I am teaching you about how to polish your mental game. Mm-hmm. So in a scenario like that, maybe you go over the falls or your rail digs and you like trip and that's, you couldn't take a last breath. Maybe, once again, the unskillful version would go, oh my god, I couldn't take a last breath, I'm in deep trouble, I have every right to panic, and you panic. A skillful waterman would recognize the scenario he or she is at and would decide, okay, nowhere in the lungs, no worries, my body is still, very likely has a very high level of oxygen, and I am better off no matter what is actually happening with the air inside me. I'm going to become better at preserving it by remaining calm. Now, some tips that will work amazing for me in a scenario like that. When you suddenly find yourself in a surprise scenario and you didn't have time for a last breath, the first thing I do a face check. Because the face has a lot of nerve endings. And for example, if I pretend I'm going to throw something at you, one of the first things that changes in your body is going to be your facial expression. Okay? So let's say you fall off a wave. What begins? Chances are your face has tensed. And if your face tenses, those nerve endings are sending the message to the rest of the body that it's time to get stressed.
Sure.
Whereas if I quickly do a face check and I relax my face, I basically give my body a little window to believe that we can remain calm. So this takes a millisecond. Face check, chill out the face, boom, face is relaxed. After that, I need a strong anchor. So in a strong wipeout, what is my strong anchor? It's the turbulence of the water. I start to feel the water. Oh my god, you're so powerful today. So powerful, I'm not gonna fight you. And finally, when the energy starts to dissipate, I'm like, okay, time to swim up. I try to swim up. If it's taking longer than usual, I start to look for my leash. It's an example. Now, paying attention to something is very important. Okay? As soon as you create that moment of potential calmness, then you need to hold on to it. So if you're not careful, once again, thoughts, emotions that could trigger fear, panic, anxiety could rush through the windows. So in my case, I use paying attention to the turbulence of the water as where to keep my mind busy at.
Well, these are really great tips, and I keep hearing the words control, skillful, calm, and if you watch the great athletes, say the tennis players or any of the other athletes or even basketball players, they're showing quite often this skillful breathing and they're calm and they're in control. Now, we don't usually relate that to surfing, but masters of survival apnea like you have broken this down into a system that is understandable, and you're actually teaching us online?
Yeah, everything I'm talking about, it's online on the website survivalapnea.com. The moment you enroll on a course, I become your instructor and coach. Even though everything is automated, self-paced, on videos and text and PDFs, anytime you have a question, you just type it in and I will reply to you a few hours or one day later. Or you can always reach me on WhatsApp, and I'll always want to be there for you to help you in your journey.
So this is a really, one of the things that separates this from other online courses I've tried is that yours is very, very personal, and you can actually achieve a one-on-one contact with the master instructor.
Yeah, of course, you start anytime you want, whenever you want, but if at any point you enter a moment of doubt, or you hit a block and you don't know how to get through it, or you cannot see how to get further progress, I will always be there for you. Actually, I get excited when people message me like, oh my god, an engaged student.
Right.
I want to be a good teacher for me.
Say I'm a beginner. How long would the beginner stage of this course take me to where I could apply some skills in the ocean, some beginning skills?
5 hours.
Okay, so 5 hours, and you break that up into 1 hour sessions?
Like the first 5 hour course is broken down into, let's say, 3 modules.
Okay.
First is theory, which is approx hour and a half. Then we have breathing and breath holding exercises on dry, another hour and a half plus minus, and then pool exercises.
And then you get in the water.
And then you get in a swimming pool.
And then the same thing for like an expert surfer, that shows up. How long is that course? Or would say the beginner graduates, how long is the next course?
So the next recommended would be to take a training program. So I've designed 2 training programs. One that is designed for people that don't have too much available time nor access to a pool.
Okay.
So this program is designed in 4-week cycles. So every 4 weeks you step up the game, basically.
I understand.
So in this case, by the end of the 4th, 5th week, you're going to see changes in you already. Different ways of thinking, different ways of reacting. And there is another training program, the 14-week training program, that is a little more intense, will require more of your time per week, and also includes water sessions.
Okay.
And in both programs, by the end of the first month, you're going to see noticeable changes.
Now I understand we can find all this information and begin these courses on your website known as survivalapnea.com.
Correct.
Our Surftime magazine is offering a link to that from our Instagram, which is Surftime_magazine. And I understand you're offering a discount of sorts?
Yes. If entering our website, once you're in our website, once you decide what course bundle to purchase, just by typing Surftime, when making your purchase, you're going to get a 25% discount on it.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that. This is really exciting. We're sitting here overlooking beautiful Uluwatu, and I just want to jump over the fence and get in the water and use some of these skills that you've been talking about. I'm very excited about it, and I hope our audience is too. As a last thought, what would you think the success rate of your training is for, say, a beginner that really wants to get it on?
Like, I would say, and this is not me, I'm a very humble person, and within that humbleness I have to say that no matter who you are when you take these courses, everyone will take at least one very valuable takeaway point with them. Excellent. So for me that's already a success rate, a very high success rate, because it's already impacting this person's life in a positive way.
Well, there you have it, impacting a person's life in a personal way. That is Survival Apnea. This is a course that is going to work by mind, body, and soul to not only make you a better surfer and a safer surfer, but a more mindful surfer. So from Surftime magazine and from Survival Apnea with Augusto Vargas and Matt George, we'll see you next time, and we'll see you in the lineup.